I have never been more disturbed, freaked out, and terrified in my life as Raw went off the air tonight. The Fiend. You can just tell that The Fiend is not a creation of Vince McMahon. The Fiend is not controlled by Vince McMahon. The Fiend is done by Bray Wyatt and his inner circle of people who have helped him, from The Undertaker, Triple H, and others. Tonight's Monday Night Raw had Glenn Jacobs show up and actually won the 24/7 championship from R-Truth, only to lose it back. And then the Monster Kane make his WWE return in Tennessee, because we were in, I think we were in Nashville, Tennessee. We were somewhere in Tennessee tonight. Hold on. We were in, was it Nashville or Knoxville? We were in Knoxville. We were actually in Knoxville, where, of course, Kane is mayor. So Kane comes out, and you're wondering, why is Kane here? The obvious reason Kane was there was because of The Fiend. The Fiend did not attack Seth Rollins. The Fiend attacked Kane. And then afterwards, The Fiend crawled over to Seth Rollins and just stared at him. And it was the most bizarre visual I have ever seen in my entire life. It was absolutely one of the most terrifying looks I have ever seen. He's laughing in Rollins' face. Raw cuts to a shot of the Firefly Funhouse theme and logo, but it's glitching, malfunctioning. It's doing a bizarre rendition of it that goes through the entire thing. It plays on a loop for about a minute and a half, and then they cut to black. And I'm sitting here just like, if I was in Seth Rollins' position, I probably would have pissed myself. Other than that, the King of the Ring happened tonight. Excellent match. Baron Corbin is your King of the Ring, as we will show you, I believe, right now? Yes, as we will show you right now, as you see right here. Baron Corbin to beat Chad Gable to become your King of the Ring. His coronation will be tomorrow night on SmackDown Live. However, outside of what happened with Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins at the beginning of the show, the King of the Ring and The Fiend pretty much probably spooking everybody who actually has a brain, this show was terrible. Russell Rhodes came out earlier today and said that this show was going to be the best Raw we've seen in 2 months. In the last 2 months, there's 2 people saying this is going to be the best Raw we have ever seen. No, this Raw was terrible. I missed the only thing, my internet went down, and the only thing I missed on this show was Rey Mysterio versus Cesaro. Rey Mysterio, of course, won that match just because WWE has to book Rey Mysterio to be a big star. It's so great to see that WWE is pushing the young, up-and-coming Rey Mysterio, because Rey Mysterio can't take a loss to Cesaro. We have to show that Rey Mysterio still has it. Rey Mysterio is not done yet. Rey Mysterio is going to be whatever they want him to be. But Rey Mysterio not losing to Cesaro, I think, was a mistake. Sasha Banks Bayley took on the tag team champions for the women's Twisted Bliss in a match that I figured was going to go the way it did, with Twisted Bliss losing due to Alexa Bliss getting injured, or kayfabe injured, leaving Nikki Cross on her own. Banks made her tap out. So my theory is what we're going to have here is Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch again. Bayley probably against Charlotte again, even though because Bayley won by nefarious means. And on top of that, they're going to do what Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman did and challenge and fight for the tag team titles. And at the end of the night at Hell in a Cell, Bayley and Sasha Banks will be your tag team champions and the Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion. I know that's probably a crazy thing to think because the draft is happening that week. But of course, if the tag team champions can be on different brands, because the tag team championship match and tag team titles for the women are the only inter-brand championship that will be able to go from Raw to SmackDown going forward. So I can see them doing that. And then what they could do is at Survivor Series or the next pay-per-view after that, which I believe is TLC, Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, who don't like each other but are going to band up to take these women down, are going to beat Sasha Banks and Bayley for the women's tag team titles, just so they can have that notch on Charlotte Flair's belt that she is also a Grand Slam champion. because the only Grand Slam champion in WWE right now who has been is Bayley, who won the NXT Championship, the Raw, SmackDown, and the Women's Tag Team titles. So that is where that is probably going to go. The show started off with your Universal Champion, Seth Rollins. He gives a shout out to Knoxville and brings up Clash of Champions. We see still, and he talks about losing the tag team titles with Braun Strowman to Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. He then talks about the main event against Strowman for the Universal title. He gives mad props to Strowman and says he beat the hell out of him, but when he push came to shove, he put Strowman down with 4 stomps and a pedigree. He said, I gave him 1 stomp, and that wasn't enough. I gave him a 2nd stomp, and that wasn't enough. I gave him a 3rd stomp, he kept getting back up, so I had to dig into my bag of tricks and get a pedigree, and he thanked Hunter for the pedigree, because if anyone who doesn't know, Seth Rollins started using the pedigree when he was a heel character with the Authority, so, and then he gave him another stomp for the win. Rollins says he's feeling how he's feeling. He says he's glad the rematch for Strowman isn't happening anytime soon. Now the Fiend attacked him. He said he did have enough time to celebrate because once he got on that stage, the lights went down, and then the Fiend attacked me. And the last thing I saw before I dropped out of consciousness was the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and they showed a picture of on the Titantron of the Fiend putting the mandible claw on Seth Rollins as he was falling into consciousness. Rollins goes on and confirms the match for Bray Wyatt is going to be inside Hell in a Cell, so that was the first Hell in a Cell named for tonight. The Firefly Funhouse starts up, and we see Wyatt on the big screen. He says Rollins is his future best friend. He's super glad Rollins is okay, but Rollins says he is sick and needs to get some help. And Rambling Rabbit's like, Seth, you gotta run, man. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. Wyatt says, no, and smashes his hand on the desk that's in front of him, or table that's in front of him, causing Rambling Rabbit to run away. And Wyatt says, it gets rid of, Wyatt goes on and says, mistakes happen. Rollins has made a lot of mistakes in his career. It has been forgiven by everybody. The Fiend says, the Fiend says hello to Rollins at Clash of Champions. It might have more to say tonight. Rollins, he says, the people forgive, but he never forgets. And he might have more views say tonight, and just crosses his arms, has an evil look on his face. The camera zooms into him. Seth Rollins drops the mic, takes the title off of his shoulder and holds it, waiting for the Fiend to show up. And you just got that stare as the camera flashes the Fiend. Rollins stares back in the ring. Finally, Wyatt breaks his laugh and stares and laughs and waves, "See you in hell!" And that was that. Rollins is just standing in the ring, is like, "What the hell am I got myself into?" So, I know the Fiend. He's a great character. Bray Wyatt's a great character. Seth Rollins is who he is. Like, they have 3 weeks. They have 2 more Raws to convince me that this should be inside Hell in a Cell, because, quite honestly, this does not feel like this should be a Hell in a Cell match. I just don't feel like this should be a Hell in a Cell match. Like, is it because Wyatt's a Fiend? Is that the Fiend is just how it is? It's just, it doesn't feel like, it's just like, they have 2 weeks, and what happened at the end of the night was fucking fantastic. It still just doesn't feel like this should be a Hell in a Cell match. Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, after what they did at Clash of Champions, should go to Hell in a Cell, but inside Hell in a Cell. But I just don't get why they want this to be inside Hell in a Cell. Maybe we'll see what Bray Wyatt and the Fiend is bringing to the Hell in a Cell. We have an advertised Chad Gable versus Baron Corbin for the King of the Ring, plus Sasha Banks and Bayley versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and Seth Rollins versus Robert Roode. You're wondering, why is Seth Rollins facing Robert Roode tonight? My only distinction, the fact that Seth Rollins is facing Robert Roode, is because Robert Roode got the pin on Seth Rollins last night to win the tag team titles, so I guess he's wanted him a non-title match against Seth Rollins. While Strowman's walking backstage, Charlie Caruso stops him and said she thought he wouldn't be here tonight, and asked him why is he here. He says because the next guy to get in his way in that ring will get these hands, and he walks off in a fit of rage. And we have ourselves a tag team championship summit, as we have brought the team of Rudolph and the Revival in the ring. For this, they both come to the ring, and Roode takes the mic and says, "No one believed it when the Ziggler and Roode teamed up. Being on top Like, he's like, no one believed us. Not you, not them, not even you, Michael Cole. I just love how he took a shot at Michael Cole. He keeps talking up his team. Revival really don't get to say anything because out comes Braun Strowman. I did not like this segment after this. Braun Strowman comes down and buries the entire tag team division when you take both tag team champions in the ring and one guy. There were four grown men in that ring can't take down Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman destroys both the Raw and SmackDown tag team champions. If that doesn't tell you what WWE thinks about the tag team champions of Raw, like the tag team division at all, I don't know what to tell you. But having Braun Strowman beat up the Revival and Dolph Ziggler because Bobby Roode had a match later in the night, so he got out of there as fast as he could. Just made the tag team division look, both tag team divisions, or the tag team division for both shows, look absolutely weak. Tag team champions Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss are backstage sipping coffee, talking about their match with Sasha Banks and SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley later tonight. The OCs versus the Viking Raiders and Cedric Alexander. Why this match is happening, I don't know. The Viking Raiders and Cedric Alexander lose to the OC by having AJ Styles hit a phenomenal forearm onto Cedric Alexander for the 1-2-3. After the match, the Viking Raiders Cedric Alexander's being attacked by AJ Styles. The OC come in. The Viking Raiders and the other two members of the OC have a brawl. They lay each other out on the outside. Cedric Alexander and AJ Styles continue to brawl. Cedric has AJ on the top rope, but AJ was going up top to try and attack him, but Cedric stopped him. He looks like he stuns AJ, goes for a Hurricane Runner after, playing up to the crowd. Dumb babyface syndrome. AJ catches him and gives him a Super Styles Clash. And Cedric is again made to look weak. Like the first minute and a half of the match last night was great. Cedric Alexander looked like he belonged. And then after that, he just got squashed the rest of the match. Then he loses again tonight, and then by getting pinned. And then in a brawl, he can't even get his heat back because he gets hit with a Super Styles Clash. I think the reports of a slow burn to push Cedric Alexander was absolutely false. Because this doesn't look like a slow burn to push him to the United States Championship or beyond. This just looks like WWE burying Cedric Alexander and just getting AJ Styles done with him. I would not be surprised if AJ Styles has a different opponent at Hell in a Cell, or even if he's wrestling at Hell in a Cell at all. This didn't help Cedric at all. Cedric Alexander looks weak in the end, and I don't know where they go with here from him. And the OC will make the presence later in the night, and I'll talk about that later, why I think Cedric Alexander and AJ Styles are absolutely done. We see 24/7 champion R-Truth and Carmella touring the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame with a special tour guide, the mayor of Knox County, Glenn Jacobs. Wasn't Kane, he was Glenn Jacobs. He even introduced himself as Glenn Jacobs. Truth finally recognizes Kane, but he was a famous basketball player. Glenn Jacobs told him he's the Knox County mayor. Glenn Jacobs. He says he has a limo outside and he loved to show Truth and Carmella around the city. Carmella looks skeptical. King of the Ring Finals, Baron Corbin versus Chad Gable. The way this match went, I think this could have been the main event, but what they did at the end, I kind of understand why they didn't do this in the main event, but this was the King of the Ring Finals. This would have been, I think this should have been in the second or third hour of the show, because quite honestly, after this match, the show completely dragged. This was your peak of the show until we got to what happened at the end with the main event with Robert Roode and Seth Rollins. I'm going to say it right now because these guys worked absolutely well together. Baron Corbin looked absolutely great. I'm going to say it now. I'm not a big fan of Baron Corbin fan. I haven't been since his Money in the Bank loss on SmackDown 2 years ago when WWE made him look like an absolute fool. Having John Cena having him not focus on Jinder Mahal and had John Cena and attack John Cena only to get rolled up in seconds when the match started for his Money in the Bank ladder match. I was like, I'm done with Corbin. And then they just made him worse and worse and worse and worse. But his run in this King of the Ring tournament has been some of his best work. His match with Cedric Alexander, fantastic. The triple threat match last week, absolutely great. This match tonight, absolutely phenomenal. These two had a great match and showed you why the King of the Ring should like this. They showed you that the King of the Ring should mean as much as a world championship. There was at one point where Gable had the ankle lock on and even had his legs vice gripped over on the leg of Baron Corbin, looking like he might win, but Baron Corbin was just too strong. Gable had a flurry of offense at the end of this match. Gable went for got hit like dodged in the days. He got hit with a deep six though, 2 count. Let me see here. Gable goes right back for the ankle lock after getting to the bottom, after he got to the bottom rope. But Corbin fights him. Gable, with elbows in the corner, Corbin catches Gable and tangles up, but gets dropped with the end of days. If you did not watch their match, and Solomon also mentioned this last week during the his predictions for Clash of Champions. Shout out to Solomon Monster. He mentioned that in their match for the Dusty Road Tag Team Classic, how Rhino and Baron Corbin moved on in that tournament was they did a tilt. They did a spot where Gable was going for a tilt-a-whirl something, and he got hit and he got caught into the end of days. They did that exact same finish in this match. Gable did a Chaos Theory German suplex earlier in this match and got only a 2 count, but Baron Corbin tangles up with Gable with tilt-a-whirl into the end of days for the 1, 2, 3. Absolutely great match. Best match for Baron Corbin. I hate to see what they're going to do with Baron Corbin after this because I just feel like they're going to just go back to having shitty Baron Corbin matches, but this guy showed in this tournament that he can go when given the opportunity. So Baron Corbin, I believe he redeemed himself a lot in this tournament for a lot of people. So Baron Corbin is your 2019 King of the Ring. He goes and stands tall, goes to the replays, he walks up to the ramp to the King of the Ring throne, scepter, crown, and robe as we cut to the back for the gender reveal party. Yes, they had a gender reveal party for Maria Kanellis. And as we know, Maria Kanellis is pregnant. They wanted to show us who the gender is. What gender is it going to be? Is it going to be a boy or a girl? Hosted by your least favorite tag team right now from NXT, the Street Profits, who have been just doing nothing and not getting over on WWE television. We go to break, we come back to do the gender reveal thing. Maria tells them that it's a boy. Mike is excited, but Maria tells him that the real father is Ricochet. Yeah, the same Ricochet who 2 pay-per-views ago, was challenging for the United States Championship. 3 pay-per-views ago, won the United States Championship, and earlier this year was having classics with the likes of the Viking Raiders with him and Aleister Black, the Undisputed Era, having that in War Games last year, having that match at TakeOver Phoenix against Johnny Gargano for the North American Championship, to being the supposed father of Maria Kanellis' baby. WWE fans know that Ricochet is dating Kacy Catanzaro, who is still under contract with WWE. Fans know this. Do you seriously think that we wanted to believe that Ricochet was unfaithful to Kacy Catanzaro? Yes, I know after the short match that we had with Mike Kanellis and Ricochet, that yes, he wasn't the father, but do you really think we needed to have WWE spread those seeds that maybe Ricochet was the father? Give me a goddamn break. A guy who is too good for WWE is going out there and having to be in this storyline whatsoever. He gets slapped, he goes on, Titus talks to Ricochet up and tells him he better get out there because he got slapped. Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins tells Montez Ford he thought she was going to reveal him as the father. They all do more comedy in the segment, and then we have Mike Kanellis versus Ricochet in a really, really piss-poor match. Right? Ricochet hits the recoil. Do you really care? No, but we're not done. We go to commercial break. We come back. Ugh. And this is fine because we cut to the Firefly Funhouse. and Bray Wyatt is hanging photos on the wall. Finn Balor, Mick Foley, Kurt Angle, Jerry Lawler. But their eyes are crossed out and they have a cross over their mouth. Wyatt says he has been busy adding to his wall of friendship, but something is missing. So it's time to find some new friends. Walks off, and we go to commercials. So that was your tease for tonight. Who was next for The Fiend? Because he did put a picture of Seth Rollins, also with the same look as everyone else. And we go back into the ring. What happens? Mike Kanellis is sitting on the ring apron. Maria Kanellis says to Mike, and she wonders what it will take to motivate Mike. Obviously, Ricochet is not the father. She thought if she embarrassed him enough, he might be man enough to defend the honor of her and her unborn child. But that didn't happen. She says maybe now she will reveal the real father. The real father of my child is... And we haven't seen this guy in a month, and this is the best you have for him. Rusev comes out. You know, the same Rusev who's married to Lana, who's been dating with Lana since the WWE start. The same guy who has been on Up, Up, Down, Down and other things with his wife Lana, who's been on Total Divas with his wife Lana, CJ Perry. You really, really think that and yes, Lana wasn't there for whatever reason. But now, now we go from Ricochet possibly being unfaithful to Casey Catanzaro, even though I know they're only dating, not married yet, to Rusev being unfaithful to Lana. Are you fucking kidding me? We dropped this storyline a month and a half ago. Why the fuck is it back? Rusev marches to the ring, Rusev stalks Mike, he begs him back off and says he's having a bad day tonight and he's not looking for a fight. He says if Rusev is the father at this point, he's okay with it, congratulates both of them, goes to lead, but Rusev corners him, chases Mike around the ringside and Mike slips like a dumbass. Rusev with a big clothesline, Maria watches from the ramp as Rusev destroys Mike at ringside, and we get ourselves a minute match. A match that lasts about 67. Boot to the face, accolade, big tap out. Maria walks to the back as Rusev begins to celebrate. So, first you make Ricochet look terrible by making him get in this, and then you have Rusev, who we haven't seen since probably WrestleMania, right? Rusev hasn't been seen since what? WrestleMania, at least? And you bring him back for this? Man, if I was Lana and I was Rusev, I'm counting down the days until my contract's up so I can either go to Japan, I can go to Impact, I can go to Ring of Honor, or I can go be Elite. Because this is garbage. If I'm Ricochet, I'm taking Casey Catanzaro, I'm waiting for my contract to run out, and I'm going to be Elite. Or going to Japan, where they actually respect me. Because this is absolute fucking stupid. This shit needs to stay on 205 Live, or this needs to be ended. I can't wait till she goes on the maternity leave because I don't want to see Maria on TV ever again. We go to more shenanigans with Glenn Jacobs and R-Truth at the University of Tennessee Stadium, for Vol Stadium. He introduces to a police officer. The officer reveals that he's also a referee. Truth sees it happening and he tries to run away, but he runs into a goalpost like an idiot. Glenn Jacobs covers 1, 2, 3, and Glenn Jacobs is your new 24/7 champion. So Kane has won a championship as Kane multiple times, and now has won the 24/7 championship as himself as the mayor of Knox County. Whoop-de-fucking-do. He starts saying, "I still got it," and we move on. We go to break and we see Banks and Bayley getting ready for the match later on, and we see what happened with the King of the Ring, and this is when my internet dropped out on me for a minute. Goddamn Spectrum. We go to the ring and out comes Rey Mysterio for a match with Cesaro. Next with the mic, Cesaro takes the mic and says Rey shouldn't listen to his son and retire. So he will beat the hell out of Rey's son if he shows his face like he's going to do Rey now. He hits the apron, but Rey kicks him off. Cesaro and Rey, it looks like because my internet came back on, and it was out for like 20 minutes. So this match lasted about 20 minutes with a commercial afterwards, I guess. Cesaro with a suplex holds it, and he hits a second suplex. Rey stops him from hitting the three amigos, and nails a 619. Goes up top, but Cesaro catches him. Rey counters into a destroyer for the 1, 2, 3, and Rey Mysterio is your winner. like this entire storyline makes no sense. Yeah, Rey Mysterio wants to retire, and but he wants not to. He wants to show his son that he still has it. Why isn't Rey Mysterio losing? Rey Mysterio should be going out there losing to other people to have that doubt planted in him that he might not be good enough anymore. Like he might need to retire. Maybe his son was wrong. Maybe he should retire. Why is he going out there and putting? It just feels like Cesaro is still being punished for going out to NXT UK Cardiff, NXT UK Takeover Cardiff, and actually putting on one hell of a match, the best match he's had in years, and just sticking it to Vince McMahon and like, look, this is what you're missing. This is what I can do, and you're not using me. That's what it feels like. Bray Wyatt hangs a new photo on his wall. Friendship inside the Firefly Funhouse. It's Seth Rollins. He stares at the camera, and we see a fresh Fiend flashing him. Back to commercial break. Back from break, and we get a plug of the WWE draft from the announcers. This leads us to a vignette of return of the Authors of Pain. Akam and Mazar are sitting somewhere in suits. They issue a warning to the rest of the tag teams and say the future will be written in pain. They are the Authors of Pain, not the AOP. That sounds stupid. They are the Authors of Pain. Make sure you do the right thing and get their manager back. Not Drake Maverick, Paul Ellering. They need a mouthpiece. They had these guys talking and they had subtitles on this promo. That's fine for a pre-tape promo, but when they're live, people aren't going to understand half of what they're saying. Get Paul Ellering back with these guys. They need Paul Ellering more than anything else. Drake Maverick's off doing the 24/7 shenanigans and 205 Live as long as it's still running. Give me Paul Ellering with the Authors of Pain. It needs to happen. Sasha Banks and Bayley versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Now, this match was okay. This match was fine. Alexa Bliss doing a lot more. I'm telling you right now, Alexa Bliss is better in this position than she was on her own. Whatever it is, Alexa Bliss is way better off. I enjoy Alexa Bliss a lot more in this than I do on her own because it just seems like her matches on her own don't hold a candle to the matches that she has while she's being in this tag team with Nikki Cross. Yes, I know it's eventually going to lead to Nikki Cross and her having a feud, as we all figured it would. But we're just gonna have to enjoy it as it is while we can, because quite honestly, Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss are better together than they are apart. Because quite honestly, when this team breaks up and Nikki Cross eventually loses to Alexa Bliss in that feud, Nikki Cross goes away. She disappears. We won't ever see her again. Bayley and Sasha Banks win this match. Halfway through the match, Alexa Bliss is taken out by Bayley. Nikki Cross does her best to fight valiantly to keep this match from losing. She almost beats these two women on her own, but in the end, backstabber and rolls Cross into the Banks stand. Cross tries to hang on, but she ends up tapping out. After the match, Banks stands tall and her music hits. Banks goes to the timekeeper area and brings a chair in while Bayley is still down on the floor. Banks brings the chair in, but the music interrupts, and out comes Becky Lynch with a chair of her own. She hits the ring, and they swing chairs at the other, blocking each other's shots with the chair. They duck the chair shots from each other. Now Bayley's in the ring with the chair as well. Becky isn't backing down. And out comes Charlotte Flair without a chair, but she has to it has to be telegraphed that she is waiting to time up the boot to Bayley as Bayley comes running out trying to attack her with a chair. That leaves Sasha Banks with Becky Lynch on her own. Swings, misses, and then Becky Lynch beats her up a little bit with the chair, and that is that. As Banks and Bayley both retreat as Flair and Becky Lynch stand tall. Backstage, she's facing the camera and challenges Becky Lynch to a rematch at Hell in a Cell if she's man enough to accept it. Your move, bitch. And she walks off, pissed off about the return of events. We see Glenn Jacobs in his limousine pulling up to Raw with R-Truth hiding on top. Glenn Jacobs steps out and says, "It's good to be back on Monday Night Raw." Truth says, "It sure is," rolls him up, 1, 2, 3, and we have a new 24/7 champion. Glenn Jacobs breaks out of this Glenn Jacobs mode and grabs him by the throat, looking like he's going to destroy him. Truth talks him down and says, hey, listen, this championship is like your job. It's going to be 24/7. There's no reason for you to even have this championship. I'm better to bury this than you are. Let's bury the hatchet. Glenn says, all right, and says, let's just go to the show and watch the rest of the show. And we all should have known where this was going later, but we didn't know how Kane was going to make his return not in this arena. We cut to the backstage to the Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. She responds to Bank and says, I don't want to fight you at Hell in a Cell. I want to destroy you inside Hell in a Cell. So both Cell matches are actually going to be Raw matches this year. Usually when we have a dual-branded pay-per-view, Raw gets one, SmackDown gets one. But this year, it's going to be a men's match, and a women's match, both from Raw. Now, I would love to say, man, it's going to be hard for these two to top what Sasha Banks and Charlotte did last time in Hell in a Cell. But honestly, that's not going to be hard to do because Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair shit the bed in that match. That Hell in a Cell match was absolutely atrocious. That match was boring. They tried to do a table spot at the end that ended up not breaking. Charlotte Flair tried 2 or 3 times and ended up having to hit the natural selection to finish the match just because things just didn't go right. That match was terrible. This match has got to be better than that. Speaking of things we haven't seen, people we haven't seen and have gone away, Dana Brooke versus Lacey Evans. Yay! This match was absolutely atrocious. During the match, unfortunately, they're talking about how Lacey Evans has a beef with Natalya. She's feuding with Natalya, who's not a champion. Why? What is the end game to her having a feud with Natalya? Somebody answer me, because I don't have a fucking clue. To add to this, Evans hits a woman's right. Looks like the match should be over, but she doesn't. She picks up the legs, puts her in the sharpshooter, and makes Brooke tap out as she's screaming to watch this, Natalya. Watch this, Natalya. Puts in the sharpshooter and makes her tap out. Why Natalya and Lacey Evans are feuding, I don't give a fuck. That is just something that if that shows up on Hell in a Cell, we have Lacey Evans versus Natalya at Hell in a Cell. Why? That's a main event feud where it should stay. Natalya versus Lacey Evans. If they want to have a mini feud on main event, it stays on main event, fine. I don't care. It doesn't need to be on main roster television. Seth Rollins versus Robert Roode. I don't know what it is. I still think Robert Roode has one of the best entrance themes in the WWE today. Every once in a while, not every time, but it's just like when it's that moment and it's that type of thing, it's the music and it just gives you the goosebumps, man. It's one of those things that just gives you the goosebumps because of how good it is. I used to get those when The Undertaker would come out. I don't get those with The Undertaker anymore, but I still do with Robert Roode, even though he's not what he used to be. I will say this about Robert Roode, and it's been his MO since his in TNA days. He makes he can tag with anybody. He makes it work. He did it with Team Canada. He did it with James Storm in Beer Money. He did it with Chad Gable, and he's doing it with Dolph Ziggler. He is a tag team purist. He is a tag team specialist. He knows what he's doing. He makes tag teams work. And honestly, I think Rudolph is going to be probably a good tag team for us. However long they want to, I think them and the Viking Raiders, if that's where they're going, would be one hell of a feud. But unfortunately, I think the Viking Raiders and the OC are having a feud right now. These guys had a hell of a good match. It was a good match. Of course, Seth Rollins' ribs are still hurting from last night from the splash, so Robert Roode worked on those all match. Dolph Ziggler, of course, was a factor in a majority of this match until he took a super kick towards the end of it. Roode goes for blocks a Falcon Arrow, sends Rollins into the apron. Rollins blocks an attack and goes to the top. Rollins rolls through for a flying knee attempt. Rollins blocks a spine bust and hits a Falcon Arrow for a close 2 count. Corey Graves did mention that Seth Rollins took a little bit extra, another second or two, to nail that Falcon Arrow because he doesn't have the strength because of his ribs. So nice to keep that. Fans with the Burn It Down chant to rally Seth Rollins. Rollins goes up top of Roode, rocks him with a right hand. And another one, Rollins is dazed on the top. Roode climbs up for a superplex, but Rollins slides out. Rollins with a big buckle bomb across the ring. Rollins kicks Rude in the gut and nails a stomp to the middle of the ring. Rollins covers for the win, but Ziggler comes in and breaks it up for the DQ finish. And then something that made absolutely no sense to me, as Rudolph is beating down on Dolph Ziggler, on Seth Rollins, the OC comes out. The OC are out there. They're helping them a 5-on-1 beatdown. Now, I figured because of what we saw earlier in the night, the Viking Raiders still have unfinished business to do with the OC, and you figure if they want to continue to have Cedric Alexander have something to do with AJ Styles, they would have had him come out to try and get some momentum back from what happened earlier in the night, but no Viking Raiders and no Cedric Alexander. So they're beating the hell out of him when all of a sudden we hear the music go off, and it's Kane. Comes out, masked Kane and all. Ziggler and Rude charge, but they get dropped on the ramp. Kane hits the ring and knocks Anderson and AJ with the right hands, and then Gallows with a choke slam. Double choke slam to AJ and Anderson now as fans pop. He stands tall in the middle of the ring, goes to do his normal exploding pyro, but out goes the lights, as they would with the Fiend. The Fiend shows up. The lights are flashing. Mandible Claw taking out Kane. Wyatt is screaming while he applies the Mandible Claw. Wyatt turns his attention to Rollins now, who is backing up in the corner, and he just crawls up to Seth Rollins. If I can get that picture, I'll get you guys in 1 second. Hold on here. It was the freakiest thing you will ever see. It was just mind-numbingly creepy as hell. But Seth Rollins just like he has his eyes closed. Like, you ever seen that slasher film, like a slasher film or a horror film where somebody has like a knife to somebody's like throat, or like they're coming up on somebody and the person just has their eyes closed, like trying to stay still. If they close their eyes, the bad thing will go away. That's what Seth Rollins looked like. It was absolutely crazy. Hold on here. I have to get this thing saved up 1 second here. You know what? We'll just go desktop. I didn't do that right, did I? No, I didn't. Hold on. I screwed that up. You don't think things out before you do it, but yeah, this is absolutely one of the creepiest things I have ever seen, and I definitely need to get this on here for you guys. I'm sitting here and I'm like freaking out. I need an adult, stuff like that. Like, this is something. This character, just the way this character has gone, you can tell that Vince McMahon has no say in this character. It is absolutely. You can just tell that Vince McMahon has nothing to do with this character. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's absolutely awesome. And I can't say much more about it. That Bray Wyatt has done something that none of us would ever think was going to happen. And he got a character over and hasn't been killed yet, which makes me feared about Hell in a Cell. It makes me feel about Hell in a Cell is that Vince McMahon is going to ruin this guy. I hope I got. Hold on. Transform. Edit transform. There you go, you stupid thing. Let me see if I get this right. Yes, look at that. That is the picture. It's going to be in your nightmares tonight. That was the way Monday Night Raw almost went off the air. We flash, as I said earlier, to the Firefly Funhouse theme song and the logo, but it's the glitchy version with like just distortion and everything, making it sound so bizarre. It loops. It's just, oh my god, it was just so creepy as can be. But this right here, this is one of the scariest things you will see on WWE television. And this is a PG show, mind you. This is a PG show. And this is what you see. This was fantastic. Will we see The Fiend next week? I hope not. I think this is the last time we need to see The Fiend until we get to Hell in a Cell. No need to overexpose this guy. We have no reason to have any other legends show up. This is the last time you need to see The Fiend. Bray Wyatt can do his Firefly Funhouse stuff, whatever. but I don't want to see The Fiend again until we get to Hell in a Cell. That was, again, let you guys see this for one more second. This was absolutely the most scariest thing I have ever seen in my life on Monday Night Raw. If you don't like what's going... There was someone last night. This is another thing. There was someone last night who was like, when the lights go down, I expected a gong, and you gave me some guy instead of some guy in a clown makeup. Fail. I'm like, well, obviously this person has... like, somebody hasn't been paying attention. And they're like, why would I watch garbage? And I'm like, wait a minute. If you aren't watching the product, you have zero right to make any assumption or any type of, like, say in what's being done on WWE television. If you're not watching, if you don't like what's going on with Bray Wyatt and what's going on with The Fiend, you don't have a fucking pulse for the wrestling business. If you're not watching WWE and you sit there and try and talk shit on this, you have no right to. This stuff is absolutely fantastic, and honestly, I cannot say anything else. This has to be the last time we see The Fiend until we get to Hell in a Cell. We could do Firefly Funhouse skits, fine, whatever, but we do not need to see The Fiend again until October 6th. But that is your Monday Night Raw review for this Monday, September 16th, 2019. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter and twitch.tv/TheFraudsClub. I will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully for SmackDown Live. Hopefully there'll be no more internet problems. I don't know what happened tonight, but that was not my fault. Until then, my name is Franz, and I'll see you guys